Welcome to another video in the AI agent series for our make.com agent that we're building out. In this video, we're going to be running through how to make a communication agent, which as you can see here is the second one. We're going to be being able to write emails, drop some copyright, handle calls, voicemails, liaising with stakeholders. And this is building off our previous agent, which is around the task and time management, as well as the first part that we built out here for our master agent, our master coordinator, so that we're able to categorize the tasks. We've got our auto email responder here as well. And this is what we're going to be going through today around that communication management. So again, rather than having to type it all manually yourself in something like ChatGPT, this is going to be all done through Slack within your organization. Great for if you're trying to, again, quickly generate a new email to go out to someone, generate some LinkedIn copyright that needs to go out, all trained on your voice, how you actually respond, so it's tailored to you. For example, we can see here, we've got one of our managing emails. So again, getting emails, responding to emails. Again, we're going to be providing some knowledge in the future as well. In here, we're going to be able to identify if we need to generate an email draft, LinkedIn, text, if we need to customize the tone, maybe personalize a message. We've also got some ones in here around actually identifying a voicemail, what's in it, if it's urgent, if it's not urgent, being able to transcribe it. We've got some ones in here around actually categorizing actions for stakeholders. So maybe we need to send some emails out, maybe we need to connect with them if it's not as high priority. So as we get here around information sending out, we've got some stakeholder summaries as well. So maybe you're providing some updates, and all of this is going to be in some draft formats as we go through. All of the resources in the link below. So let's dive straight in. So first of all, we're going to be going through and generating, as usual, our actually retrieval of the information. So we need to come into a new scenario. We're going to do Airtable. We're going to do watch records. This is the third part of the series as well. So I'll include the links if you want to go back and watch some of the previous ones. We'll connect up our base that we've been using. There we go. We'll make sure that we're using our specific table, which in this case is going to be our AI agent. So the log where we've got all of the different actions that we're generating, storing, knowing how we're going to go through and actually do it. Let's come back through table. We're going to do agent log. And then we're watching for in here, our last modified date at the end here, because that's when we're going to go through and make an update. And this is where we know that we need to do something with it. So last modified, table field will do task. We'll say the limit is 10, so it's going to get 10 and go through. And then we'll rename this to get new actions. Brilliant. So what we now need to do is add another filter. We're going to do ChatGPT create completion module. Again, if you wanted to use something like OpenRouter, you'd be able to use maybe lots of different agents. Again, this is really great, and we explored that in some of the previous modules around how you could leverage that. This would enable you to maybe choose which one you want to use, have fallback options. We're going to use ChatGPT 4.0 in this case, and then we're going to use two prompts. One is the priming prompt, and then one is the second part of the prompt, which is actually feeding in the information. So let's come into our second one here, and we'll just copy across the prompts that we're going to be using today. So we're going to get the first one, which is around the AI master agent, what it's going to be doing, categorizing the requests that come through. So as we can see here, copy, we'll come into here, we'll do messages, we'll do assistant first, we'll paste and match style. So if we just run through this quickly, again, we've given it a clear goal. So it's a sub categorization agent. We've given it the options that we've got off the back of this. So emails, copywriting, we've got handling calls and voicemails, scheduling follow-ups as part of that. We've got stakeholder liaison, so actually connecting in with them. We've given it some really clear examples, instructions, so it knows what it's looking for and what the output's going to be. Brilliant. So that's the first part. The second part, we're going to be user. And then what we're going to do is feed in the information from the actual specific activity. So if we paste that in here, we want to do action and then come to the left and do task. We'll do save and then rename this to comms agent. We'll do save. And then we need to add a filter in here, which is just comms agent action. We'll do save, come down here. We're going to do sub agent. We're going to do equals to communication management. The other part that we need to do in here is and then we need to do the status, and we'll do to do. We just need to change this to case insensitive. We'll change the other one to contains case or equals case insensitive as well. Brilliant. So now what it's going to do is watch for any of the new entries that come through and then be able to categorize them after that as well. The next stage that we've got is just updating Airtable to say it's in progress, or again, we explored this in the past where once you go into the specific actions, you could do it in there instead. So let's add it in. We want to add another module, Airtable. We want to do update a record. Again, making sure that we're using the same base that we have in our first version. We're going to come into our AI agent log table. So we'll make sure that that's all connected. We're going to choose the record ID as the first ID that's come through. we're going to come through and change the sub agent to be the output of our ChatGPT module. So that's going to say where it's going. And then status, we can change to be in progress, and we'll do save. We'll just rename this to Categorize sub agent. So that's all connected up. We'll then do a router after this as well. And then we're going to have 4 options that come off the back of that. Brilliant. So before we give it a test, we'll go through and categorize each one. So again, remember in here, we've got the different agents that we're going to be sending it through. So the copywriting, the correspondence, we've got the one around the voicemails, and the last one around actually liaising with stakeholders as well. Again, we want to make sure that the filter is the exact same wording as what we had in here, and it's the exact same output we're looking for. So we're looking for here, results, and then managing emails in this case. We'll do equals to case insensitive. We'll do the next one. We'll get drafting correspondence as the next one. We'll come into our next filter. We'll set up a filter. We'll draft correspondence, again, result from our ChatGPT module, the comms agent categorization module. We'll do save correspondence. The next one we'll go through and do. Brilliant. So we'll get the next one here around handling calls and voicemails. We'll add that in here. We'll do that. Condition, result, and then contains case and equals to case and set. And then we'll do the last one as well. There we go. For stakeholders, we'll get a copy and come down here. We'll do condition. Again, we're looking for the output of ChatGPT. And we'll do equals to case insensitive and results. And we'll do save, auto align. And then let's just give this a test to make sure it's working. We're going to come back into Slack again, go all the way back to the first video, and you'll be able to see how we've set this up for the integrations. We want to put a message in here. So again, please could you write a LinkedIn message, again, sound more enthusiastic. And then we've given it an example there of maybe just something that we've used in the past. We can send that off. We'll come back into our master AI agent. We'll make sure to run this once. Again, it's a text-based agent, so it's going to go through and automatically log it. So if we come back down to the bottom here, as you can see, we've got one that's just come through. So communication management and to do at the bottom will come through into our integrations. We'll do run once. This is going to go and it should be able to find the specific modules. So to update this, we also need to do the assignees. We'll do save. We'll just come through and make sure this is to do. So we'll come through and just change it again. This is so that we update our last modified event at the end here. We'll do run once, and then what it should go through is, there we go. So it's automatically identified it. It's then gone through, and as we can see in here, it's been inputted the module action here. So this is what we asked the agent to do. If we collapse that down, we've seen the output that we've got is drafting correspondence, or if you're ever looking for that, you can come into here, message, and then drafting correspondence. And then what we can see is it's gone through and updated it. So it's then made sure that we've stored the task, the agent, the sub-agent that's gone through. And as you can see, it's then correctly identified that it's going to go through one of the specific route, which is around the drafting correspondence route that we've got here. Brilliant. So that all works fine. So let's go through and start doing the managing emails. So if we copy across the first part, what we're going to be doing is actually trying to analyze all of that information. So if I just copy this first part or come in here, we'll paste across, we'll do save, or just get rid of that module so it's all connected up. Okay, bro. So this is another ChatGPT completion module. So if you come down here, you've got OpenAI or search for OpenAI. This also works with, again, as we mentioned, OpenRouter, Claude, any of the others that you're using. You don't have to use OpenAI. It's just the one that we're using for this demo specifically. So what have we asked it to do in here? Well, we're asking it to actually retrieve the email details that we're looking for. So in this case, what we're going to say is we're going to analyze the content of the email to extract key details, including sender's name, email action, date, subject, concise description of the email, and so on and so forth. Then we're going to go through and analyze all of the information, and we're going to output it as a JSON structure. So we know what we're looking for when we go through and search. Again, we've given it some example inputs and outputs, what we're looking for. So in this case, this is a formatted output. So what we're looking for is a JSON format that will come through. So if we save that, what we're also looking at the bottom here is the task to retrieve. So we need to update that. As you can see at the bottom, it's a task that's pulsing, or best practice is always to do the first module. So we can do task in there. Again, we're reiterating we want a raw JSON output because we want just the JSON. We don't want any additional details. Or sometimes it says JSON or ... at the start, which means this automation wouldn't run in the long term. As we can see here, we're extracting the email details. To generate this yourself, all you need to do is come in here, give it a data name. We can input an example, so the one that we just generated, generate it, and it will go through. Now, we're using the output from the previous module, so as you can see here, we'll start pulsing. So we're using the output from that module. So if I give that a run as a test, We've copied the example that we provided. We can do OK. And as you can see here, the OpenAI module will have gone through, extracted all of this information for the request. And then we're going to format it so it's nice and easy to parse, go through, understand what we're looking for, and then do the follow-up actions. Brilliant. So after this, the first one we've got here is around extracting some of the details. So if nothing is extracted, we can't go through and complete the action, right? So we need to update this. So we say if nothing is visible, we're going to go back and provide a response and say we need more information. So if we copy this across for ease, what we're going to have a look at here is we've got lots of information that we've extracted. So first of all, again, from our past module that we've got in the previous one here, we're going to use the sender's name. So what we're saying is the sender's name does not exist. We've tried to look for a sender's email. It doesn't exist. We've looked for a subject. It doesn't exist. We've looked for a description of this email and it doesn't exist. We'll do save, and that's going to be our fallback. So in case we can't find any information, we're going to send that off to Slack and say we're not able to complete the action. So again, go back to one of the earlier videos that shows how we connect this up. But what we're saying in this is basically we've not got enough information. We're letting the user know we can't complete the action. And then with our Airtable module here, we need to get rid of the record ID, update that. And what we're going to do is just input the response into the log that says we weren't able to go through and do it, and update the status to blocked so that we know that they need to go through and do it themselves. We'll do save and then auto align, so that's all good to go. The next part we're going to go through, as you can see here, is depending on the email that exists, we've got a description that exists or the subject that exists. So let's go through and copy the first part so we can walk that through together. So we'll connect this up, we'll get rid of that. So what we're going to say here is, again, because this is fallback, it's going to automatically go down this route. And if it can't find any information, then it's going to go down and actually complete the Slack channel instead. So we're using a email module here. So to find that, all you need to do is come to the bottom and do email. What we're then going to be doing, as you can see here, is get email. So it's going to be searching for all of the emails within your specific email inbox that you provided. So if we click into here, what we've got is this first option here, which is basically the email address to that person who maybe has sent the email address. So again, maybe I've said, please look for an email from Alex. His email address is test@gmail.com. We've specified the email address, maybe not the full name. So it's now going to go off and look for the email from that account. We're going to change that to, again, email address. So send the email. We've set up here the folder is all emails that's come through. But again, if you've got a specific agent for you versus maybe multiple people in the company, you'll be able to automatically update this to that specific person's email address. We're not saying we're going to mark them as red because maybe we're trying to get one from the past. We've got a simple filter. We've got all emails that we're looking for. We've not got the email ID from the past, and we're looking for one result to come back. Let's go through and do the next one. So in this case, what we're saying is we're looking through all of our emails. We're not marking as red. Again, we're searching for all of the information. And then in this case, as you can see here, we're looking for the description. So if we come down to the bottom, we're going to do descriptions. As you can see here from the example text, what we're saying is processing emails that contain the specific information in those character strings. So it's basically going to look through all of the text body of an email and find if anything matches it. The last one here is just around the subject. So we'll come down to subject and update that exactly as the same as before. And we're looking for one output to be provided. So they're all updated. Brilliant. The next part that we're going to go through and do is actually summarizing the email that we need to provide to that customer. So again, we're going to copy that across, copy module. We're going to paste in here. And then what we're looking to do is use the, again, ChatGPT module, or you can use Claude, Gemini, whatever you prefer. Lots of integrations within actual make.com. And we're going to go through it and summarize the email so we can tell the individual looking for it what information is provided. Again, we're doing two prompts here, the priming prompt and then the information prompt, so that we can actually feed it in a more logical sense for the agent to know what to do and how to do it. So as we can see here, we've given it a really clear goal that it's going to analyze all of the text content of an email. It's then going to summarize it almost like you would for a C-suite executive, short executive overview, what it is, the key context, any actions that need to be taken. We've given it some really clear instructions here. We've given it some example inputs and outputs. So again, what we're looking for, again, summarizing it. This is great. Again, lots of research out there shows that between 5 and 20 examples is really great. We can see that that differs from some of the other modules. Now, that's the first part. The second message that we're feeding in is the actual information itself. So we want to come down here. We want to change the date because we're saying, okay, when was it received? The email subject, we can change that. We can do email content. So we're looking for the text content. And then we're looking for the sender's name. So come down here, sender's name. What this is basically going to do is analyze all of the information that's come through from the email, when it was sent, what the subject was, and also who sent it. So the output is going to say this email came from, Joe Blogs. This is what it was about, and this is the key overview. Again, we'll keep the rest the same, and we'll do save. Now, we've retrieved all this information. We found the email. We need to go and pass this information on to the individual. So that's where we're going to use our Slack. But again, if you're on Teams, Telegram, anything else, you can use that as well. We've covered that in a previous video. To use this, you want to search for Slack. We then want to do Slack. We want to do create a message. And that's the module we're going to be using for this. Again, make sure we're all connected up. We're going to be providing a summary. So we've already done all the hard work in our OpenAI module here. All we're going to be doing is sending that back to the user in the Slack channel so that they can read it and understand what it may be. Again, we're going to go on to knowledge in the future, how we can learn from sort of the context. Maybe there's been a more recent conversation. Let's go through and update the last one here, which is around record ID. We're responding, passing that response into our agent action log so we know what's happened. And then we're just changing the stage to be done. We'll do OK and save, and we're all good to go. We'll just copy and paste this, and we'll do exactly the same for all of the other modules that we've got here. Because again, it's exactly the same premise. They just want to have the latest information. All we need to do for this is go through and update the data that we're passing in. Because again, these are unique modules that we've got here for finding the email's details. So we'll come down here. We'll do date received. So date. We'll do subject. We can do the text content as well. We can do from. So who did it come from? And we'll do the last one here as well, just to make sure that that's all completed too. So we'll come down and we'll update all the details here. Brilliant. That's all updated. So again, this will be using the exact same information. We just need to go through and update the IDs that are in these specific modules at the end, or maybe they've updated automatically. It looks like they've updated. Brilliant. So that's all good to go. So that's our first specific module. We'll come into our Slack and we'll give it a quick message. Brilliant. So we can send this message off. We'll do send. We'll run our master AI agent to make sure it's logged. So we'll come in here, and as we can see at the bottom, it's to do. We'll come back into our communication agent. We'll then run this, and it should go through and try and identify all of the information. So it's gone through and it's found something. So let's double check what it's got. There we go. So it's found an email that's come through that we're able to send. So it's then gone through, summarized it, and added it into our log. So we can come here and we've got chatbot automation services. So there we go. It was able to go through and find an email that was sent through recently. So we can come back into our scenario, into our mail.com scenario. We'll run through the next one here, which is just around actually generating some responses. So let's copy that. We'll come back in here and we'll just do paste. This is going to be our drafting correspondence, so we can get rid of that. Again, the filter is exactly the same. Now, what we're doing in here, well, we're trying to categorize the response that we need to provide. So what we're going to look for is the different information in that actual task and how we want to respond. So as we've got in here, maybe we want to generate an email draft, a LinkedIn draft, a text. Maybe we've got some tone, or we've got some personalization of a message as well. So we're going to come through here, and we're basically, as we just said, we're going to analyze for this information and see where we need to send it. We've got the different categorizations there. We've got the instructions, how it needs to go through. We've given it some example inputs and outputs. And then we're going to come to the bottom here, having fed all this information in, and now provide the tasks. So again, come down to the bottom, do tasks, save. And then we've got the 4 or 5 different options here, and we'll do auto align, so that's good to go. Now, I'm quite conscious of time because it's quite a long video that's going to go through. So let's walk through exactly how this is going to work. So we'll connect all of these up. And we'll delete the original modules so that we've got all of the filters included as well. So again, what we're looking for is, depending on the output that comes from our ChatGPT module, it depends on where it's going to send it. So again, for example here, if the output from our module that's categorizing it is going to be around sending an email, we're going to go up that way. If it's around LinkedIn, we're going to send it down this route. If it's for a text, we're going to send it down this route. And if it's for customization of a tone, we'll send it down here. And lastly, if it's personalization, we'll send it down this route specifically. So lots of the ChatGPT completion modules here. Again, each of them have a unique prompt involved, so they're able to go through and actually analyze the task and then send it through accordingly. So let's come through and analyze it and understand how to use it. Now, as we've got here, we've got, again, generate a draft of an email with some of the markdown formatting to make sure it works. And we're going to outputting it as a JSON file with draft, subject, and body. what we need here is, as you can see, input, draft an email, and then we've got an example output that we've got here. We've got two different examples here that we're able to go through and use. We're going to provide it the tasks, so we'll come back down to the bottom and do tasks. Again, we're reiterating we want raw JSON output, do not include JSON or dash. So we find that tends to impact the actual output that we're receiving. We'll do save. The email draft, so this is exactly the same as what we've just said the output's going to be. So if I come in here and copy one of the examples that we've got, what we're basically doing is formatting this output into a usable way in the message that we're going to go through and do a bit later on. So if I copy this example output here, we can run this module only, we can do OK. So as you can see here, what we've input is this long JSON string, and then we've got the subject, and then we've got the body of the email that follows afterwards as well. So you can completely customize this to your organization. Again, to set this up, all you need to do is come into here, do add, give it a data structure name, generate. You could input one of the examples. Again, we'll do generate, and there, as you can see, it's generated that exact data structure. We've already got one ready to go, which uses the one that we just mentioned around the subject and the body itself. To feed the information in, it's going to be the output from our previous modules, the ChatGPT. We'll do save, and then all we're doing at the end here is similar to before, is we're feeding in the subject, so the first output of our parsing, then the second part, which is the body of the email, because this just makes it a bit easier to really understand the response you're going to provide. Again, depending if you're doing this as automatic, you could do add a draft into Gmail, emails, whatever you've got straight away. Or maybe in this case, you just wanted to go back into your conversation, back in the Slack channel as well. So we'll come down here, we'll update the record ID, because what this is going to do is it's going to come through and basically state that this has been completed, it's all done, we're all completed with this action. We'll do save, we'll do auto align. Brilliant. So that's exactly the same for the LinkedIn draft that we've got here as well. All we've done is we've slightly changed the prompt, so it's looking for the best way that we can respond. So if we come into here again, as we've got hook, content, call to action. So that's how we're going to generate our LinkedIn posts. We've given it some really clear instructions. We're going to output the hook, the content, and the call to action as the actual JSON format. So if we take an example down here, what we can see is it in action. So if we come into here, we'll do run this module only. We can see that we've got the JSON, we've got the hook, we've got the content, and then we've got the call to action at the bottom here as well. So great, that's able to do it automatically. Now, what we've got here is a slightly different one because we're not needing to pass any information. We're updating it and sending it straight back into our Slack channel. So the first one here is around generating a text. So maybe we've got a really long email, maybe we've got really key points that we want to share. This is where we're going to come in here, paste this information in, and then generate a short, concise text message so that we're able to do that maybe to a customer straight away. As we can see here, analyzing the inputs, outputs, concise message. Again, JSON output is what we can use. Sometimes we just need the task, so we can get rid of that. So again, we're reiterating that we want it as plain text. We don't want it as JSON. We're giving it some example inputs and outputs, as we can see here, just so we get the best output that we're looking for. And we've updated all the information in Slack so we can see the user's response. We'll go through, we'll just change this for the message. We'll do text. We'll come down here and also update the ID. And then we'll do save, so it's all good to go. Let's go through and change these quickly. Brilliant. So they're all updated. Now, if we have a look at the prompts for the customized tone and personalized message, it's exactly what it says, right? So we've got the two prompts again, priming and then the information. What we're going to be saying in here is, please can you ingest this information and then go through and actually personalize it into a specific tone. Maybe you want someone to actually do it in your company's language, your company's guidelines around branding. Maybe you want it to be done in a specific fun casual tone or professional tone. Again, you'll be able to go through and do this. We've updated all of the information in here. So again, maybe we want it for a text, email, LinkedIn message. We've given it some clear guidance on what it would look like, some example inputs and outputs that we've got here as well. Again, remember that we're using between sort of 5 and 20 in quite a lot of the examples just to get the best output. So the text message, this is going to be coming from task. So we can go do and save. Personalized message, exactly the same idea. So what we're going to be doing here is coming through and updating it with the actual personalization tone maybe that you want as well. So again, similar to the tone a bit before, maybe you just want it to be a bit more personalized. You could give it a bit more information. This is where we're going to touch on knowledge and how to leverage that in some of the AI agents in the future as well. Again, as you can see here, clear examples, instructions, inputs, outputs, so we know what we're looking for as well. Let's do save. We'll save and we'll come out of here. So let's give this a quick test. So we can come into Slack, we can paste in our message here. So please rewrite this text message to be more engaging and friendly. And then this is the text that we want to be updated. So we can send that off. Again, as you can see here, we've got the summary that came through from our last one around summarizing the emails and maybe what the company offers. We're going to go through and do run once for that specific new action that we've got come through. If we come back into here, we should see it come through at the bottom any second now. There we go. So please rewrite exactly that we had before, and we've got it as to do. Now, if we come into our agent, again, what we should see is that it comes into here, it recognizes a new action, comes down into corresponding prompts, and then goes into this text message ones here. So let's give that a test. As we can see here, it categorized it, grabbed it. Looks like it's not. Oh, we need to change the result of the assignee. So we need to do the result of the actual output here. We'll do save. As we can see here, it'll be drafting correspondence. Let's go through and just change this to do, and then we'll be able to run it again nice and easily. So come through, there we go, it's correctly identified it. All is looking like it's customized the tone in this case instead. So because again, we're making it more friendly and engaging. So sorry, yes, it is correct. It should be changed the tone. If we come back into here, it's now updated the tone to be a bit more friendly, a bit more engaging. So that's been absolutely great. And again, as this is an automation, if you use something like OpenRouter, you'll be able to change the module that sits behind this. Maybe you want DeepSeek, Claude, Gemini, whatever you prefer, you'll be able to change that in the background here. If we also look at our agent log, you'll be able to see this updated to done, and we've got the message stored in here as well. So that's all great to go. That's ready to go. Brilliant. So let's give it another quick test. So we'll come in here, we'll do please brings to, there we go. We've got a quick message that we can put in there. We can send that off. We'll come into our master agent. We'll do run once. It should come through and categorize it. There we go at the bottom there. So that's all come through. That's all good to go. We'll come in here and we'll do run once. Should come through hopefully to this generate the LinkedIn draft route. So there we go. It's able to go through generate a draft, and then we come back into Slack. There we go. So it's all updated. It's all come through around the hook, content, and call to action. The issue that it had here, I'm presuming, is because we forgot to update the ID. There we go. So now it'll update the ID, and then it will go through, and it would have changed this to done and added all of the information. So that's great. That's all working absolutely fine. Brilliant. So let's go through to the next one here, which is around handling a voicemail. So we're going to copy this first part across, and we're going to come back into our scenario paste, and then we'll connect this all up. So first of all, we want a router in here. So the option that we've got in here is maybe we've got a live call coming through. Again, many executive assistants, if this was maybe replacing some of their, what you'd be able to do is screen a call as it came through if you're using tools like Twilio before actually transferring that onto you, if that's going to be done in real time. Now, in this case, we're going to be uploading a voicemail, and then we're going to be analyzing it to see if it's urgent or not urgent. So in this case, what we're saying is we're looking for the task to say that it's got a voicemail. So if I look at previous ones, what we're saying is that we basically got a voicemail received, and then we're going to go through and analyze it. What we said next is that we've got whether it's urgent or not urgent. So again, if you're maybe in lots of meetings, what you'd be able to do is take this voicemail, put it into the system, and it would automatically tell you if it's urgent or not, and if you need to respond. Again, we've got the clear goal here. We've got some instructions. We've got classified of what's urgent, not urgent. We've got the example output that we're looking for. So the urgency, if there's an action that needs to be taken, again, who maybe send the message through. We've given it some examples here. So if we copy one of them, we'll go through and show how that works in a second. The second part of the prompt is basically we've said we needed to output raw JSON, and then we've got the transcript that's come through this second table. So if we do save, we'll come back into our Airtable because I just wanted to show you actually, we've got a slightly different one. So up until now, we've been using the agent log table. What we're actually going to be using next is around this call and voicemail one. If we come back in here, the table we're now going to be using is the second one around the call log. So again, remember, if we're uploading a voicemail, it's going to store in here. We're going to output all of the fields. And now what we're doing is we're going to be searching for that ID in the action reference ID. So if I get rid of that, come down to the bottom and do ID, what we're doing is we're searching in this field here, action reference ID, in our Airtable to see what it correlates to. So for example here, we know that we've got this action reference relates to a specific action in this table here. So if I come in here, again, we can see where it's associated. One of these will have an ID, so that we're able to actually go through and leverage that next. So we'll come down, we'll do limit of 10, for example, in this case. Urgent, not urgent, we've already covered. The parsing, so again, this is just the output that we're looking for. So as you can see here, if we inputted all of this information, it would come out as urgent, quick action or summary, and then who sent it through. And this is great, especially if you're on lots of calls, to understand maybe what's happening in the background. in case there's anything urgent. Let's copy across the two responses, because all this is doing is updating Slack and saying what the message is, whether it's urgent or not urgent. So to run through it quickly, let's just change the order of the route. So we've got something there. So if we just quickly format that so they flip around, there we go. So we got a filter here that says if the output is urgent, we're going to go up here, notify the individual that it's an urgent message from someone and what the recommended actions are. We're then going to update the record and then say close complete. So again, ID will come down here, change. We'll save that message that we've updated. We'll come in here, notify user, again, exactly the same. So what we're saying is not urgent, but here's the information. We can come in here and we'll just update the ID. So we'll say that that action has been completed and we'll do save. We'll do save, auto align, and now that's all good to go. So if we upload an action example in Slack, there we go. We upload a voicemail, we'll come into our actual master agent, will come through. And then again, what it's doing, remember from the first ever video, we're going through transcribing that word for word and then logging it both in our action because we need to go through and complete this, but also in our calls log. So as we've got here, we've got the transcribe at the bottom. We've also got all of the information saying it's an inbound agent. We need to go through and do something with it. So let's come back into here. We'll do run. Now what it should do is identify that it's something that needs to do with calls and voicemail. As you can see here, it's going through incredibly quickly. So it's now gone through and found that corresponding value. So as you can see here, it's come into our table. It's then looked at this reference ID from the agent log, and then it's gone through and made sure that we've got the information to then go and actually export it and start to do something with that message. As you can see here, we've then identified if it's urgent or not. So not urgent, what the actual summary is. So just looking at the information, who sent that message through. We can then come through and parse this and just make it a bit more usable. We've then got a Slack message. So if we come into Slack, we'll say this voicemail is not urgent. Jack from Zoom info is requiring a callback at your earliest convenience. So imagine if you're on a phone call, you'll be able to upload this straight away in the background once it's come through, and then you know if you need to do anything about it. But also, because we're building an agent, maybe you want to follow up with Jack through this so that you can do that automatically as well. Brilliant. So that's the first part. Again, we're not going to go through the live call handling this today. Let me know if you're interested. We can go through and do that in the future. The next part here is around liaising with stakeholders. So again, communication is always key with the individuals that you're working with. So let's come through and just tie this all together. Again, conscious of time, trying to rattle through this pretty quickly to make sure you guys get the most out of it as possible. So we're going to categorize the action into either coordination and scheduling, information sharing, or actually stakeholder summaries. So let's go through and align that. What we're doing is we're analyzing the task. We're then outputting some information through here. So let's go and actually analyze the prompt. So what we're going to see is, again, the priming prompt, then the actual information. So as we can see here, we're looking for either coordinating, scheduling, sharing information, or stakeholder summaries as well. We've given it some example information, and this is the output that we're looking for. So the category and the response method, either Slack or email. So if I come down here, I can do copy, I can run this module only, and then what we should get is a nice formatted email that says the route it needs to go down. So in this case, it would be this top one here because it's around coordinating and we want it as an email response. Brilliant. So the next stage that we've got is around parsing that information and really understanding what to do. So if we paste this in here, we'll connect that up. So what we're going to do in this specific module is then go and analyze the task that has the information that we need to go through and do something with. So if we come in here, we'll be able to see what the goal is in the priming prompt. So generate a professional email to communicate with stakeholders, scheduling a meeting or gathering information. We've then got subject, body, intro, details, action, and then a close. We've got some example inputs and outputs. Again, this is the JSON structure we're looking for. So if I copy this, we'll be able to use that. If I come down the bottom, as you can see here, we've got a few examples. And then what we're saying is we're inputting the task. Again, reiterating that we want a raw JSON output. We don't want JSON or dot. We'll run this module only. Oh, it looks like it needs to change this error because what we're looking for is this last module from our OpenAI. So that can run. Again, we're going to be analyzing all of the information that comes out. So there we can go. We've got subject and then we've got the body, which is great. That's much more usable than if it came out just naturally all in one clump. So what we're going to see here is the response method, which is back here. So if I come to the left of it, it's going to be this module down here. We're going to say response method equals Slack for the top option, or this bottom one here, response method is going to be email. Now, notifying the user, what we're going to say is the draft note, the subject, and the body of the email. So again, subject and then body, we'll do save, email draft. This is slightly different. So again, this is creating a draft. In this case, I've got a specific folder where I'm saving all of the AI responses. We can say, again, no one to, because at the moment we're just doing a draft. We can update the subject, update the body. And again, if you wanted something at the bottom here, maybe AI agent, you could do that as well. And then we're just going to notify the agent that we've saved all of this information, ready to go for us to review. We're then going to update the action, so it's been closed complete. So we just go through and update the record IDs for both of these. Brilliant. So that's all good to go. We'll go through the next one here, which is exactly the same principles. This is just around maybe if we've got some information that we want to share. So if we connect that up, we'll just delete this specific module because it's already got the filter connected. So again, we're going to be using 2 prompts in this one. We're going to be using the key information that we want to ingest and then outputting how we want that information to be shared. If you want it to be email response, or maybe we want it to be a Slack response, let's just format that so it's a bit easier to look through. So what's the prompt that we're looking at here? Well, if we go into the first part, what we're basically saying is how we would structure that message back to either ourselves as the person who's going to send it in Slack or through the actual email draft itself. So as you can see here, really clear goal of what it needs to do. We're responding to relevant stakeholders. We're analyzing the input of the task. This is the output that we're looking for. So again, as you can see here, send an email to share Q3 performance with the leadership team. So again, if we incorporated the knowledge in the future, we'll be able to send that off automatically. Or in this case, it really knows the stakeholder group that it's looking at. Again, we're going to have the email here that says the subjects and the body like we had from this specific module, like we had in the past here. And then we're going to go through and input all this information into Slack. We'll just update these to subject and body. And then we'll update these just to have the latest IDs to make sure that we can close the action complete. Brilliant. There we go. And we'll just do exactly the same for the last one, which is just around stakeholder summaries. Again, the only difference in any of these modules that we've got at the end here is just the prompts that go with them in the ChatGPT side, because what we've got is a unique to each one. And we'll give this a quick test in a second. So again, if you're interested in the resources, they're in the link below. For this specific message, what we're looking at is actually drafting it for summarizing maybe some of the key information. Maybe you do weekly status reports. This will be able to get you there much quicker. So as you can see here, we're including all of the key information, exactly the same output format. But all we've said at the start here is the goal is providing an executive summary to those key individuals so that they know what's going on. Again, we're going to be parsing the information. We just need to update this for the response method because that's going to be using the latest one. And exactly the same as before, we're going to be passing that information that goes through and sending that either into Slack or into our actual drafts in Gmail as well. Brilliant. So let's go give this a quick test to go and liaison with stakeholders. Let's maybe do stakeholder summaries here. We'll come up with a draft message. So if we come back into Slack, let's type our message in here. So we've got one around drafting an email. So again, this is worded in the way maybe an executive assistant would receive it. We've got some key details in here. So we're saying it's going to all department heads, 20% increase in feedback, 10% boost in NPS score. So that's your net promoter score, so that's how well your business is performing in the eyes of the customers. 10% rise in reviews, so we can send that off. Now we'll come back into our master agent. We'll do run once. It should come through and then add it into our table at the bottom here. There we go. So we've got it to do. We'll come back into here. Let's do auto align. We'll do run once. So it should come through, pick up that there's a new action, then categorize it as liaising stakeholders. So there we go, we've got it through at the bottom here. Looks like we forgot to update the task in here, so let's just go through and do task, we'll do save, put it back into our Airtable and just change this to do. So exactly the same message that we're running through. It should come through again now. So it should come down to liaising stakeholders. We need to update these as well. So it looks like I forgot to update them with the other filters. We'll check all of these other ones are good to go quickly. So we also needed to update just where we have the task information there to make sure that's all working. So let's come through and actually update this to be to do. We'll do run once to make sure that we're getting all the information that comes through. So it should identify that it's an email that needs to come through, liaising with stakeholders. Now I'm going to go through and try and generate a response. We're now going to get that added to our email so that we can adjust it and get it ready to send. Again, if we click in here, for example, you can see the output. So again, all of this information coming through. So if we come into our draft, so again, in Slack, we'll get it come through like we've got here. So we can click and it will take us straight through. So there we go. At the top here, we've got a new email. So as we can see here, much quicker, much easier that we'd be able to go through and actually make some changes to versus having to start from scratch. So great. Nice and easy, able to go through and do that. that's been a really quick demo around how you could do this generation agency. Again, we're going to touch on many more around N8N, as well as how to build in knowledge to make.com and a few others in another video, so make sure to check it out on the channel. I hope this was useful. All of the resources in the link below, and have a great day.